They say that when a man successfully hides his mistakes, his fears grow stronger. In Omaka village, the festival came and went. The drums beat, the masquerades danced, the people laughed, and Obinna smiled too. But it was not the smile of peace, it was the smile of someone waiting for trouble. Because while the village celebrated, a debt was already breeding. While Papeze received praises, a promise was already counting days. And while Obinna thought he had escaped shame, a reckless life was only warming up. Elders say this: the first wrong choice brings fear. The second brings consequences. And consequences do not knock gently. They arrive when you least expect them. They arrive with witnesses. They arrive already to collect more than money. This is where the story continues. This is where silence breaks. This is where the true prize begins to show. Sit well, because what followed that festival did not just touch Obinna. It touched his father, it touched his mother, and it changed the family's name forever. The festival day. Masquerades danced, drums beat, people ate and laughed. Papeze was praised. Mamuju's soup finished quickly because people loved it. Obinna wore fine clothes and tried to smile, but inside him, he was not celebrating, because he knew a debt was waiting like a hyena in the bush. After the festival, Obinna planned to pay back quickly. He planned, but Obinna's life was built on plans that never became actions. The next day, Chief Money sent 2 men to the village. They came on a motorcycle. Their faces were hard. Their eyes were dry. They entered Papeze's compound like owners. Mamuju screamed, "Who are you people?" One said, "We are looking for Obinna." Obinna stepped out trembling. The second man smiled. "Obinna, Chief said to greet you. He said your time don't reach." Papeze came out, confused. "What is happening here?" The men looked at Papeze and greeted him as if everything was normal. "Good afternoon, sir." The men greeted Papeze, and he asked them, "Why are you looking for my son?" One of them replied, "He borrowed money. He has not paid." Silence fell like thunder. Papeze turned slowly to Obinna. "Obinna, what is this?" Obinna's mouth opened, but no words came out. Mamuju held her chest. Ikenna stood behind, looking shocked. The men said, "If he doesn't pay by 3 market days, we will come back." They left. Papeze did not shout immediately. He just looked at Obinna for a long time. Then he sat down on a stool like an old tree that finally cracked. He said slowly, "So you have started." Obinna fell on his knees. "Papa, forgive me." Papeze's voice was heavy. "Forgive you? You used festival money to gamble." Obinna cried, "I was deceived, Papa." Papeze asked, "Who deceived you? Were your eyes closed?" Obinna could not answer. That night, Papeze did not eat. Mamuju cried quietly. Ikenna walked out and sat outside, staring into the dark. Obinna lay on his mat and felt the ground cold. He heard a distant owl hoot. In Umuaka, an owl at night is not just a bird, it is a warning. The next morning, Papeze called the family meeting. In their culture, family meeting is not a play. It is where truth sits down. Papa Eze said, "We will pay the debt." Obinna lifted his head quickly. Papa Eze continued, "But you will pay it back to me with your sweat." Obinna nodded fast. Papa Eze added, "And you will never go near that friend again." Obinna agreed like someone who was drowning. Papa Eze went and sold 2 bags of yam. He sold 1 goat. He added his savings to make up the money. They paid the money he owed to Chief Money. Chief Money accepted and smiled, but as he returned the receipt, he said something that chilled Papa Eze. "Old man, your son would come back again. They always come back." Papa Eze's hands shook. He dragged Obinna home. From that day, Papa Eze changed. He stopped trusting Obinna. He stopped giving him money. He stopped calling him my son with joy. He started calling him Obinna like a stranger. And that broke Obinna more than beating. Because in the village, when your father's voice changes towards you, it means you have reduced your name. Obinna tried to behave. For some weeks, he followed Papa Eze to the farm. He walked small. He sweated. He complained less. But taking responsibility is not just something you do for 2 weeks and then stop. It is something you carry even when it is heavy. Obinna carried it like a borrowed load. One day, Papa Eze finally went to town and bought the motorcycle because he believed maybe the boy needed a second chance. He gave Obinna the key with a warning. "This motorcycle is not for foolishness. It is for work. If you disappoint me again, I will remove my hands from you." Obinna nodded seriously. For some days, Obinna used it well. He carried yams. He carried palm oil. He made small money. And people started greeting him again. "Obinna, you are now a man. Your papa trained you well." Obinna began to enjoy the respect. But the problem with people like Obinna is this: they love the reward of responsibility, but they hate the discipline behind it. One evening, as Obinna was coming back from the market, he met Chuka at the roadside. Chuka looked thinner. His shirt was rough. His eyes still had that same dangerous confidence. "My guy," Chuka said, smiling. "You don't forget me, oh." Obinna hesitated. "Chuka, my papa warned me." Chuka laughed. "Your papa no be God. Na small mistake you do before. You don't suffer. You don't learn. So why you dey fear?" Obinna tried to pass, and Chuka held his arm. "Wait, just hear me. There is one opportunity, not game this time. This is a real deal." Obinna frowned. "Which deal?" Chuka leaned closer. "There is one man in town. He dey buy stolen motorcycle parts." Obinna pulled back. "Stolen?" Chuka said quickly, "Listen, you no go steal. You go just help carry. One trip, big money." Obinna's heart started beating again. This was his weakness. One trip, big money. Carelessness always comes, wearing the mask of one last time. Obinna said no. Chuka smiled. "Are you sure? That your farm money fit buy you what? 2 shirts? But this one fit make you rent room in town. You fit start your own life. You go escape your papa's control." That word entered Obinna's head like a poison. Escape. Obinna had always felt Papa Eze was controlling him. He did not see it as guidance. He saw it as bondage, and so Obinna agreed. That night he followed Chuka. They carried motorcycle parts in the dark. They passed bush paths. Obinna's hands shook, but greed held him. When they reached town, the buyer paid them. Obinna saw money he had never held before. He laughed. Chuka shouted, "You see? Na so." Obinna returned home late, hiding the money. The next day, police entered the village. Not just village police, real police from town. They came with guns and serious faces. They asked for Obinna. Papa Eze came out, confused. "Officer, what is the matter?" The officer said, "Your son is involved in stolen motorcycle parts." Papa Eze's word stopped. Mamuju screamed again, this time louder. Neighbors gathered like flies. Obinna tried to run. They caught him. They held him like a criminal. Papa Eze held his head. "Obinna, why?" Obinna cried, "Papa, I wanted money." Papa Eze's eyes became red. "You wanted money, then you chose disgrace." They carried him away. That day, Papa Eze did not talk. He did not shout. He did not cry. He became quiet in a way that scared everyone. In Igbo land, when an elder becomes too quiet, it means something has broken inside of him. Obinna stayed in the cell for days. The smell was terrible. The floor was cold. Men around him looked like hunger and anger. Obinna cried until tears dried up. He remembered his mother's words. He remembered his father's warnings. He remembered Ikenna's steady life, and he felt something painful. Regret. Not the small regret of losing money, but the deep regret of losing your name. After some days, Papa Eze came. He did not come shouting. He came with a lawyer and money. He paid. He begged. He used his respected name. And they released Obinna, but with a warning. If Obinna entered that case again, he would go to prison for real. Obinna returned home. The village looked at him differently. Children whispered. Women shook their heads. Men avoided him. When he entered the market, some people stopped selling to him. When he passed, you could hear voices. That is the boy, the reckless one. He will shame his family. Obinna's chest burned. At home, Papa Eze called the elders. In Umuaka, elders are not just old men. They are the village conscience. They came, sat in Papa Eze's obi, and Papa Eze narrated everything with shame. The eldest elder, Eze Nana, looked at Obinna for a long time and said, "My son, irresponsibility is not just laziness. It is a spirit that is the owner first." Obinna started crying. Eze Nana continued, "You have wounded your father's name. You have wounded your mother's heart. You have wounded your own future." Then he said words that Obinna will never forget. If you want to change, it will hurt. Because you will be removing a bad skin from your body. They performed a small family cleansing not because Obinna was cursed, but because in their culture, shame is like dirty water. You must wash it, even if it remains in memory. Mamuju cooked bitter leaf soup, and Papa Eze brought kola. They prayed. They asked the ancestors for mercy. They asked God for a new path. That night, Obinna sat alone behind the house, staring at the moon. He thought of his life. He realized something. He had been very irresponsible, yes, but irresponsibility was not free. It cost his father's money. It has cost his mother's tears. It has cost his brother's peace. And it has cost him respect. And he suddenly understood the hidden meaning of responsibility. Responsibility is not just doing work. It is carrying the weight of your choices so that your family will not have to carry it for you. The next morning, Obinna woke up early. He swept the compound without being told. He fetched water. He went to the farm. He walked until his palms hurt. Papa Eze watched him silently. Days passed. Weeks passed. Obinna did not change in one way. Sometimes he felt tempted. Sometimes he felt tired. Sometimes he even felt angry. But each time he remembered the cell. He remembered his mother's scream. He remembered his father's quiet pain. And he kept going. Months later, something happened. Papa Eze fell sick. It was not a small sickness. He could not stand well. He could not go to the farm. His body became weak, like dry leaves. Mamuju cried again, but this time it was fear. Ikenna tried to help, but he was still in school. So responsibility came and sat in Obinna's hands like a baby that must not fall. Obinna could have run. Old Obinna would have run. But Obinna did not run. He became the man of the house. He went to the farm. He sold farm produce. He paid hospital bills. He cooked sometimes. He even carried Papa Eze to the clinic on his back when the motorcycle was not available. The villagers started noticing. One woman said, Obinna don't change oh. Another said, pain teaches some people better than advice. One day, Papa Eze recovered small and called Obinna. He held his hand. His voice was weak but clear. My son, I was afraid you would kill me with shame. Obinna's eyes filled with tears. But Papa Eze continued. But now, I can breathe. Then Papa Eze said something that cut through Obinna like a knife, but also healed him. Do you know what it takes to be responsible? Obinna shook his head. Papa Eze said, it takes everything. It takes your peace. It takes your name. It takes your family's joy. It takes your future. He paused and added, and sometimes it takes the life of people who love you. Obinna cried openly. He hugged his father. That day, Obinna did not just cry because he was sorry. He cried because he finally understood. Responsibility is heavy, yes, but irresponsibility is even heavier. Time passed. The noise in Omaka village slowly returned to normal. The drums stopped. The whispers reduced. Life continued. But Obinna was not the same. He had learned what many people learn too late. That a careless life always sends the bill forward. It may delay, but it never forgets. He paid with shame. He paid with tears. He paid with long nights and broken pride. But he also learned something important. That responsibility is not a punishment. It is protection. It protects your name. It protects your family. It protects the future you cannot see yet. From that day, Obinna chose a different path. Not because it was easy, but because he finally understood the cost of avoiding it. And this is why the elders still tell this story in Umuaka village. Not to mock him, not to shame him, but to warn anyone who thinks carelessness is freedom. Because in the end, the price is never small. May you learn from another man's mistake, so you will not pay with your own life. This is where the story ends, but the lessons never end. If you love cautionary folk tales with timeless lessons, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more.